has been taken for granted for decades by the Democratic Party. It's time for rule by the people, not rule for the special interests. Hillary Clinton-backed policies are responsible for the problems in the inner cities today, and a vote for her is a vote for another generation of poverty, high crime, and lost opportunities.
With only 83 days until the election, Trump is digging in on his combative style in hopes of turning around his slide in the polls.
I am who I am. It's me. You have to be you. If you start pivoting, you're not being honest with people.
So the bottom line here, we could see less of the scripted, teleprompter-assisted Donald Trump and more of the combative candidate whose primaries in the. Let's bring in CNN contributor Ryan Lizza, forgive me, Ryan, Washington correspondent for The New Yorker. Thanks so much for being with us once again. What do you make of the shakeup?
Well, I really think that Trump was all of a sudden a disciplined teleprompter candidate holds. And so there are two explanations for why you would push aside Manafort. One, as Ford pointed out, he's mired in the middle of some pretty significant scandals related to his time working for a decade in Ukrainian politics. Those have been on the front page of the newspapers here, on and off for weeks, to be honest. And the most recent is a big blockbuster about whether he received cash payments from the pro-Putin party in Ukraine. All right, so you might think Trump sees that and says, all right, this guy is plagued by scandal, I need to push him aside. That's how most normal candidates would respond. Most of the reporting, though, suggests that what he didn't like about Manafort was that Manafort was trying to control him in essence, make him more disciplined, make him a little bit more of a general election candidate. And even those attempts, just from what we've seen publicly, have not exactly been a smashing success. Trump is on his way, if current polls hold, to lose in the biggest loss since the Democratic loss in 1984 when Ronald Reagan had his landslide victory.
So what is the impact likely to be? Can he turn it around?
I don't know. I mean, hiring the guy who runs Breitbart, I mean, for international viewers who don't know what Breitbart is, it is a niche right-wing website that caters to a tiny sliver of American politics and is successful in doing that because, you can make a lot of money by just amping up, that tiny segment on the right. But it's a sort of fanboy website for Trump supporters. It's frankly a website that has gotten rather dabbled with some of the worst elements on the fringe right in the last year, has been accused of all sorts of articles with anti-Semitism and racism, to be honest. And you would not hire someone like that unless you were sort of doubling down on your core supporters, on that white, aggrieved, right-wing base that Trump has done very well with. You would not hire someone from Breitbart unless you wanted someone with more expertise in that segment of American politics. As everyone knows, there are no more voters there for Trump. He's got them locked in. The political problem Trump has is he needs to add voters. He needs to expand beyond that core. So I don't really see this as doing that.
At the same time, he's done something again. He stepped on not only his own message, the points his campaign wanted to make to voters this week, he stepped on what would have been a difficult time for Hillary Clinton, because this week we saw the unusual spectacle of the months-long Justice Department investigation into her emails that ended with the Justice Department deciding that there was no point trying to bring charges. Well, the FBI notes are now in Congress's hands.
Yep.
That would ordinarily be something that we would be talking a whole lot more about. What does it mean and what are the implications of it?
You're absolutely right. I mean, this is an explosive story. The fact that the Democratic nominee was investigated by the FBI, that there was some debate within the administration about whether charges should be brought. Eventually, obviously, they weren't. That is a big, explosive story, and it would have played into the hands of any sort of normal, generic Republican nominee who would have tried to race a referendum on Hillary Clinton. And that's the way to win this race if you're a Republican. That's the way to beat Hillary Clinton, is make it about her, make it about these scandals, and sort of prosecute a disciplined case against her. She has very high negatives. She is one of the more unpopular figures to be nominated by either party. Her great advantage is that her opponent is the most popular person, most unpopular person ever to be nominated by a party. And she is doing, without really trying, she is turning this into a referendum strictly on Donald Trump, who continues to dominate the news, and 9 out of 10 times not in a positive way. So you're right, Jonathan. If this were a normal year with a normal Republican candidate, a governor, a senator, I think that this would be a much, much closer race, and the vulnerabilities that Clinton has would be exploited. Trump can't seem to stay on a single line of attack or prosecute a case against her that speaks to voters that are on the fence about Hillary Clinton. Even when he does go after her, it's in a very exaggerated way that doesn't really, he'll say she should be thrown in jail rather than laying out a sort of rational case for what she did wrong on the email scandal.
Even with a new campaign team, that seems to be the issue to watch. Ryan Lizza, thanks so much for this.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Other stories on our radar right now: Libyan troops claiming success in retaking territory from ISIS in the city of Sirte. A military official tells CNN ISIS fighters have been driven out of one of 3 areas they controlled. The officer says Libyan forces are now advancing on ISIS positions in other areas of the city. Russia dismissing any suggestion that flying its bombers out of Iran violates a UN Security Council resolution. The Russian military says those warplanes conducted successful airstrikes against ISIS in Syria for a second day. Washington takes a dim view of Russia operating out of Iran and has voiced its concerns to Moscow.
When it seems so clearly to be against us.
Now, after the killing